What most get wrong about command? Ever hear somebody say, he doesn't have very good command because he doesn't have very good mechanics? Maybe you've said it. Well, here are two of the top 5 that have ever thrown a baseball. Dan Quisenberry, who is number 3 on the list, and Juan Marichal is number 5. Okay? They're both right-handed. Look at the one throws from there and one throws from there. Right? Completely different posture orientation. So does command have anything to do with mechanics? It has to do with efficiency. It doesn't have to do with posture. Right? It requires constant care, work awareness, and feel. What most get wrong about recovery and consistency? Next to pain, so here's the note that I want you to make. Once again, poor Todd Foley thinks I'm looking for a job to come over and be his pitching coach, and I promise you, Todd, I have no interest in the job. But if I went over to Coach Foley, here's the thing that I would want to know. How many of my guys, I think you said we have 8. How many of those 8 guys have acute pain? That's the first question. Pain that constrains them. The next thing is, how do they recover? How quickly do they bounce back? Those are the 2 most important things that I want to know on my process forward. Right? Those are the 2. Because I don't want, if they have trouble recovering, here's what happens. They pitch like Sandy Koufax on Tuesday night, and next Tuesday they throw like Mrs. Koufax. And you have this uneven performance. And really what we know, the reason we know Mo Rivera is not because he had the best fastball or the best cutter, it's because he had it every time he went out. The reason we know Greg Madden, the reason we know Derek Jeter is not because he was the single best hitter, the single best shortstop that's ever played. Matter of fact, there's an argument you can make that Derek Jeter was never, any single year that he played, the best shortstop in the major leagues any year that he played, the single best. But what was he? Over that period of time, he was the most consistent, best shortstop. That's how you become a first ballot Hall of Famer. Not that he was the best in any one year, right? So consistency matters. And what Andy McKay has taught us many times is that it's not really great is being good on a regular basis. That's what great is. What about creating exceptional secondary stuff? We got minor league guys, we got our college guys always wanting to know a new grip, right? They want a new grip, and I always joke, I said, you need to get a grip, but not a grip of the baseball. You need to get a grip of yourself. Now, here's what I mean by that. Bert Blyleven, and if you don't know who that is, that's a Hall of Fame guy, you should. But Bert Blyleven threw 3 pitches, and every single one of them with the exact same grip. He had a with the seam fastball, and then he would curveball like this and change up like this, and all with the same grip. Now, some of you are like, are you saying, Ron, that everybody should? I hope we don't have to go over this again. Hyper-personalization. I'm saying that if the fact that he could do that, what does it say that grip? Is grip a primary? No. Grip is a secondary. Should you play with your grip until you get it better? Yeah. But it's not, the grip is not the magic. And I'll tell you one of the things that really makes me laugh, and my staff will tell you this, if you go into Dick's Sporting Goods and you go to the ball that has the red fingers and the green fingers, that makes me laugh. That's funny to me. I just hold on to that. There you go, curveball, woo! That's not true at all. It's a fraud. It's not true at all. It's hand position at release. How it exits your finger has nothing to do with the grip is minor. Thank you. What most get wrong about pitch design? It can become a misplaced priority. I talk to Justin Verlander quite often. I talked to him just the other day. Of all the years, I've been with him about 4 years, I think now. You know how many times him and I have talked about pitch design? 0. You know how many times we talked about recovery and arm health and durability? All the time. Pitch design. So I think pitch design is a good servant, but a terrible master. What about mindset? Once again, are you guys doing mindset for your players in your academy? Are you doing mindset for your guys in training? You got to. Mindset, even if it's 2 minutes, even if it's 5 minutes, do a mindset to get their mind right. That's the reason we have the bell. Getting your mind right on what you're doing, mind is the most important thing. It leads everything. So I think you've got to be focused on the mindset. And the ranch difference is we assess, we categorize, we customize, we prioritize. Most people get stuck in the category, right? I'll be talking about that with you tomorrow, but you categorize them. So as we here's what I'm going to be sharing with you tomorrow. In my opinion, what keeps most athletes from becoming an elite, healthy, durable, this is the primary of the whole talk, this slide right here. I believe it comes down to 3 constraints. Number 1, they all do nearly exactly the same thing as all of their peers. It's a herd mentality. They never do the hard work to determine their specific individual needs, constraints, and limitations. I don't care I can't tell you how many times I've talked to a minor league guy and I said, this is the way it always works, right? You guys in pro ball will smile at this because you're like, of course it happened. I'll sit down and they'll go, I say, well, how old are you? And he'll say, I'm 22 and I'm 23. I go, very good. What's keeping you from the major leagues? And they're like, what? I said, what's keeping you from why are you not already in the big leagues? And they're like, well, velo. I'll go, oh, well, how hard do you throw? Well, I top out at 94. I'm like, really? So no one in the major leagues tops out at 94 and sits 92? Yeah, well, sorry for playing there, Sparky, but that ain't it. What's the next one, right? Well, I'm young. You're 23? Nobody in the big leagues 23? Thanks for playing, Sparky. There goes that one, right? And we roll it down until the point where it's about execution that they're here, right? It's consistency that they're here. It's right. So it's not about all this crap that's out there. No, it's about they're not able to execute on a regular basis what they can do. They're not able to come up with their capability every night. That's the problem. But they think it's something else. Number 2, they never fully commit to steadily and continually moving better. Move better in everything they do, right? So when we do cones and ladders every now and then, or hurdles and ladders, or agilities, or I get some pitchers like, what are we doing this for? What does this have to do with pitching? Only everything. Only everything. You got to move better, right? You don't move well enough. And then to me, the money question is, they fail to grasp the critical importance of establishing a movement pattern which has no pain when throwing at high intensity. And I'm going to say this to you because I don't want to slide on this because we're almost done today. I don't want to miss this. If you can find a movement pattern, a drill, a implement, whatever, that you can throw the bejesus out of it multiple times with no pain, we have now established a beachhead from which everything else can be developed. I can develop stuff from there. I can develop command from there. I can develop everything from there, but if you cannot throw it at high intensity without pain, nothing else matters. We're building a home on sand. Looks nice. And the next wave of the tide, we're out. Now, all the time, I've never heard anybody really talk about that. Now, I know in pro ball how difficult that would be because they're not going to tell you the truth, right? Right? They're just not going to tell you the truth. And I'm sorry for you, pro, I have no answer for you. But the rest of us, we got to have an understanding of can they throw it with zero pain? They got to throw it full speed and it come out like hot knife through warm butter. That's what we're trying to find. Once you have that, then we can establish the beachhead. I would urge you, Flint, how am I doing? Almost done? Here's what I want you to check. Check new boxes. So rephrase this. In what specific way, in what specific area does each pitcher need strength or stability? So we take a look at Wes and we take a look at Randy. Randy does not need more biceps curls. He's good. We can minimize those. Can I help me with that when you get home, Wes? Or is it just like good luck to you, Ron? Okay. Then we go to stretching. In what area, in what way does each pitcher need more mobility or flexibility, right? Some of your guys need more of one thing, like Coach Wallace's son. Part of his body is very flexible, part of his body he's not. Cade is really unique in many, many ways. Amen. So is all of our guys, right? Right? So ask the question differently, not like, is he strong enough? Mass equals gas. That's just like, that's like stuck on stupid stuff. The question is, in what specific way and in what specific area does this player need more mobility or flexibility? And mobility and flexibility are uniquely different. I know I'm throwing it in, they're different, but for this talk, I'm throwing them together. In conditioning, in what specific way, in what specific area does each pitcher need to improve his fitness and or his skill-specific endurance or stamina? Okay, now I could go off on this as well for 20 minutes. Like a certain level of physical fitness is important for recovery. So people are like, well, Wolfworth is totally against running. Not true. Not true. In a very specific way, in a very unique, I'm open to anything. But I'm totally against taking all your players and having them get on the road out here at Honey, Egypt and run 3 miles. That's stuck on stupid. I cannot defend that. That is complete stupidity. But if somebody has in the past found their way to conditioning, this is something that there's things you can be open to, right? Arm care. In what specific way, in what specific area does each pitcher need to enhance the efficiency of the efficacy of their soft tissue and prepare to throw? Throwing program, same thing. PPFs. Here's one thing, right? So for you coaches that are do PFPs, this is my problem, right? Because I did a million of them. I always viewed that was coaches like, I'm tired of dealing with your ass, go do PFPs, right? It's almost like go run your polls. I'm tired of looking at you. I want to go have a Coke, and I want to talk about the game tonight. So go do something, right? I can cover first base so many times that I kind of know where that is. I don't need 38 of them to know I run to the cutoff and I run up and I don't cross the line. Okay, I don't need 40 of them. After 3, I got it. Now, maybe you want me to remind myself every now and then. Okay, I got it, right? The question that you should ask is what specific on defense is this guy short in, right? Is it the bunt that is his problem? Is it covering first is his problem? Is it the turning the double play? This is because if you think about your pitchers, there's some guys like Greg Maddock, we just go, hey, go bunt, right? You're good, right? There's other people that they need to go do some other stuff. Like some people need to work on their pickoffs a little bit more. Some need to work on their cutting down their time to home. So you need to ask it more specifically, and just instead of taking everybody out and everybody doing PFPs in a remote way or just a rote way. Pitch design, same thing. And I won't get into a story really quickly about. I was at DBU, and the pitching coach brought me out. Thank you. Pitching coach brought me out and said, "Hey." As a Dallas Baptist, and there's all sorts of people there with all sorts of data and all sorts of measurement. And we went out there, and he goes, I really want you to be out there. And I said, okay, I'm going to go out there. And we listened. So it really came down to this. They thought his slider needed to be at a different position, and it didn't fit with his fastball. And okay, so I'm listening to all this. And this is an hour later, and at the end of it, the guy says, Ron, you haven't said anything. And I said, no. I have one question. What is the opposition hitting against that slider? And the guy says, oh, well, I don't know. Let me look. So they look. You know what the other team was hitting against his slider for the year? 086. And so everybody was looking at me, and I go, so my advice is to leave the thing alone. What do we want? We want to beat 086? That's pretty good. I wouldn't change anything that needs to be. I mean, this is what we get on this. Well, let's make sure that this is and this and this. Well, how the hitter's responding to it, right? Why we use the term limitations and constraints. One has to be strong enough. I know that's hard to figure out, right? But it needs to be strong enough. Pretty soon, as Lee, as you know, more is just more. Right? I say to my guys all the time, because this happens sometimes. Well, I got to come back. I got to come back at 3 o'clock, and I got to do some more lifting. And I go, really? I said, well, let me ask you this. You got a headache, right? How many aspirin do you take? 2. What happens if you have a real bad headache? Do you take 12? 36 aspirin? I had a real bad headache. Give me the whole thing. No, more sometimes is not good. More, a lot of times is just more. So you got to ask yourself, am I strong enough? Am I stable enough? Am I mobile enough? And I know that's not an easy question, but that's what you got to be asking rather than just, I need more. Am I mobile enough? Am I flexible enough? Am I mechanically efficient enough? People always ask me, especially the dads, well, I still think he has forearm flyout. I don't care. I mean, really, where does the hitter go? Oh my gosh, he's fixed forearm flyout. We quit. We forfeit the game. He's figured that out. No, that's not how that works. The reason we work on these things, if he goes to 0 pain, that's the deal. Velo goes up, command goes up, arm health goes down. That's what I want. I don't care what he looks like. That's a secondary thing. Resilient enough. Does he bounce back? Does he recover? Mentally tough enough. Now, let me give you this. If we had a son or a daughter, and he or she had a 94 in calculus, a 97 in physics, 96 in chemistry, and some of you are like, oh, this would be a dream. 96 in American history, post-Civil War, just because that's what I taught. 84 in English literature. In what subject would an excellent tutor probably benefit them the most? Would you go get a calculus tutor? You just heard that we have an excellent calculus tutor, so we can go from a 94 to a 98. Is that what we're going to do? No. It's the same thing with your players. We spend so much time on focusing what they're already doing well. Focus on what is their constraint, what is the limitation, what is stopping them from breaking through, right? That's the essence of hyper-personalization. What do you need today? It may not be what you need tomorrow. It may not be what you needed last year. We always say this at the ranch. Our favorite joke is, our favorite riddle, and some players still haven't figured this riddle out, is why are the desks in 3rd grade so small? And the answer is because you're not supposed to stay there. And they're still confused by that. Hyper-personalization, this is why we skew it. Small hinges swing big doors. So our goal is to constantly be better than our competitive peer group. Now, I get to my final 2 slides. Eugene has these brilliant scientists. I just have philosophers. Earl Nightingale, and I totally believe this. If one really desires to become world-class at anything, one only needs to identify and define what a vast majority of their peers are doing and simply go in the opposite direction. There's good reason to understand the term mediocre. It refers to the most common failure or underachiever. The herd may afford safety, but will never afford exceptional performance. that you must forge alone. So if you feel, Wes, that you're all by yourself, you're in a good place, right? You're not mediocre. And if you remember the famous Robert Frost poem, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read the bold. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. This is why you're here in COVID. You took a road less traveled by. Most people would be scared to death to be in your seats today or this weekend. They're structured by fear. They're limited. This group is not, and I applaud you for that. Now apply that to all aspects of your life. Exceptionalism is not being ordinary. It's being extraordinary, which requires it's a different road, and you have to pay attention to it.